Hello. Yes, I'm live. Oh, the latency is kind of weird here, but we're gonna try it anyway. In the last video, I was on. Hold on. This video's Blockbusters, but that ended up being like a 3 hour long video, and I'm just no. So we're gonna move to this video. Gonna check some stuff. Uh, okay. Let's try it now.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This guy Ozian over here seems to think he's got what it takes to take on Flat Earth. The following is a clip from a debate he had on Modern Day Debates. Let's see what he's got.
If you don't know who I am, I'm just some dude who makes videos on YouTube named Ozian, where we talk about.
Okay, hold on. I gotta restart that. Not the whole thing, but just that little part, I think. Right here.
Clip from a debate he had on Modern Day Debates. Let's see what he's got.
If you don't know who I am, I'm just some dude who makes videos on YouTube named Ozian, where we talk about things I love to talk about. I stream Minecraft on Twitch, where I have time, and I even committed heresy by streaming Hogwarts Legacy. I also helped to moderate the Modern Day Debate Discord server that you should all join. I wrote a book called Beyond Faith, which was Amazon's #1 new release in the category of atheism, which only seems to require you to sell like 4 books. Thank you for hosting me again on Modern Day Debate. It's my pleasure to confront and debunk the preposterous flat earth theory that has been roundly mocked and ridiculed, but I like to take their claims.
It sounds like another attack on a YouTuber, dude. And given what Ocean's doing right now, I'm not gonna talk about it.
Seriously, because I know they're just in need of someone who will help them come to the perfect circle of enlightenment. That's a joke, people. According to their theory, the Earth is topographically flat rather than a sphere or an oblate spheroid. I intend to demonstrate with irrefutable scientific facts that this claim is utterly false. Let us begin with the principle of gradient pressure, which pertains to the force exerted by a fluid such as air due to the differences in pressure. As we move higher in the atmosphere, the weight of the air above us decreases, and so does the pressure. This is in direct contradiction to the flat Earth theory, which posits that the Earth is some form of flat world inside some container of sorts, and that the pressure at any given point would have to be the same regardless of altitude.
Oh, going right for a straw man. No flat earther claims that. Here is a typical jar of peanut butter. It is a sealed container, and inside there is a pressure gradient. And please notice how the peanut butter, the oil, and the air inside is all level.
Because liquid and air finds its level or equal pressure evenly distributed in the container, unless there's some other force acting upon it, because these people deny that gravity exists and even refuse to recognize it as a valid word to explain the observation that things fall down. However, their argument is flawed since it overlooks the fact that gravity plays a crucial role and the distribution of pressure. Moreover, the flat Earth proponents try to pawn off their ideas.
Yeah, this was a long time ago, so yeah, it's a while ago. It's just an attack on Ozine, it looks like. So Ozine, and then I don't want to skip past it.
To explain the obvious gradient as buoyancy or electrostatics. But these concepts only serve to highlight their ignorance of the laws of physics, and the formulas for buoyancy include the gravitational constant. And when we shield equipment for electromagnetism and electrostatics, we don't get lighter, folks.
And now in this debate, I am going to jump ahead to where my friend and fellow globebuster Austin Whitsitt directly addresses Ozian's argument. No one talks electrostatics like Whitsitt gets it.
As for this whole like gravity and nonsense about you need a force, there's something called a downward electric current on the Earth. It's measurable, it's provable. So we have positive energy increasing above, it then goes down to the ground to seek equilibrium. This is of course from a Richard Feynman lecture right here explaining it. It's a grounded metal plate, will have the same surface charge as the Earth. The plate's covered with the ground conductor will have no surface charge. In the Next Level movie, actually it's Level With Me, check it out, levelwithmefilm.com. We actually did the experiment to show you can make things go up and down, manipulate.
Whitsitt gets it. Whitsitt gets it is an interesting dude. God. Alright, I need to talk into the mic. Oh, I am too low. Damn, the latency on yours nuts. No, it's because. Hold on.
Electrostatics, gravity's a fairy tale.
Electrostatics is a proven thing. We all know that a positive and a negative will attract towards each other. So the Earth has a neutral or negative charge. Everything above it has a positive charge, and it is attracted to it.
Everything that exists is electric. There's not one thing that exists in the entire world that is not electric. It's actually the unifying force that keeps everything here, holds everything together, and everything seeks.
How does the electrostatic charge have a down vector? It's a force, but how does it? It has a down bias. Things go down. How does electrostatics make things go down. I don't get it.
Equilibrium based on that. So everything's trying to find a state of rest based on its electric phenomena or its electric nature within the environment that we exist within. And then when you start to look further into it, you find out that on the smallest scale, electrostatics is significantly stronger than gravity is even claimed to be. Magnitudes greater, 10 to the 36 power to be specific. So everything, simply put, everything that exists is electric. Everything that is falling to the ground or not falling to the ground is seeking equilibrium based on electrostatics. We can actually test this. We can use something called a corona motor, and whenever we manipulate electrostatics, we can make things levitate. We can make things go up or down, and we can actually change how fast they go down. We can also manipulate the weight of an object simply by manipulating electrostatics. And of course, that's how science actually works, is you do an experiment that shows you what the cause of the effect is, and you can manipulate electrostatics and cause the effect of downward acceleration, commonly referred to as gravity. Of course, I've never seen a test that manipulates space-time, and you will never see that. It doesn't exist. Everyone thinks that the reason things fall is because of gravity, but actually everything that exists is electrostatic. So whenever things go to the ground, they're seeking equilibrium. So they go find their balance on the ground where their charge disperses or spreads out in through the ground. So we have positive charge in the air, we have negative charge on the surface of the earth or on the ground.
Okay, I'm not a scientist, but I still say bullshit. It just, I don't, something sounds like bullshit to me.
Ground, which is why it's called grounding, and then we introduced positive charge, and then it went back down to the ground to seek equilibrium. This shows that that's actually what objects do when they fall to the ground. They go to the ground because of the electric forces, and they seek equilibrium on the earth.
We knew about it as in the 1950s, even earlier, and it's all been hidden because if humans were allowed free energy, free movement, and able to explore, we would find out what this place is. We'd find out our position in this world. And that's the number one thing. Why are they hiding flat earth? Why? What's the motive? And the motive is to keep us dumbed down, not knowing who we are, not knowing where we are, not knowing the true power that we have, and not having true freedom.
Here's the downward electric current going down to the surface of the earth. So if you deny this, you deny basic, measurable, empirical evidence that can be done by going out in the earth and measuring that there's a measurable downward electric current on the earth. Well, let's not talk about that. All right. Also, you don't need gravity for anything to do with the earth. You can solve for downward acceleration using a kinematic equation. It has nothing to do with gravity or the idea that mass attracts mass, which is not even what your belief system is anymore.
But you can calculate gravity with kinetic energy. I agree.
So you don't need it at all. All you need is the height of the ball or whatever is falling. Then you need downward acceleration, what you're solving for, the time and the initial velocity. And this kinematic equation can solve for little a or little g, quote unquote, which is downward acceleration. everywhere on the Earth, for all engineering, anything you use gravity for can be solved completely without the idea of gravity.
So electrostatics, you're talking about first, the ground grid. I test ground grids. I build things like Faraday cages to protect electromagnetic pulses and stuff like that. Electrostatics, and when we do that, it doesn't float.
Do you know what strawman fallacies are?
I do. So tell
Did
me
I say a Faraday
what
cage
the
would make
claim is.
something float?
No, but it blocks electrostatics. It reduces it.
Oh, so it's still there. Okay, and so did you
It
not know
reduces
that?
it. You don't get lighter,
listen,
though.
Let me teach you. Let me teach you something.
You're just measuring the acceleration of gravity. You're calling it a fact. You're not explaining why that is. You're trying to use electrostatic to prove it is, but where's your independent dependent variable to prove that you change the electrostatic to produce a direct change in the gravitational force that you're measuring, the velocity, the speed of things following?
Let me answer this. Okay. So I use a Van de Graaff generator, which has a little belt on it. It creates friction and creates electrostatic charge, and it makes objects float. It'll change their weight, make them go up, and change how fast they go down. Independent variable electrostatics, dependent variable objects going up or down. I manipulated it, showed the cause and effect. Now you do the same thing for gravity. Go.
I understand the test you're doing. You're creating an electric field underneath the device, which causes it to hover underneath the device. Is
Wrong.
that correct?
You don't even know
How
how
are
it
you doing it
works.
then?
It
Do
flips
then.
the polarity of the pill based on the two Gaussian surfaces. The field's polarity flips, and then electrostatic transference and induction to the object makes it goes up relative to the polarity of the field.
What any object?
Any object. I've done
object.
iron filings, hair, styrofoam, rubber, all kinds of like insulators.
Everything that's
wood,
insulators.
anything.
So things. Lead.
Well, in order for lead, I have to have more than my Van de Graaff, which is only about 250,000 volts. But yeah, you can make anything float with enough electrostatics. The fact you don't know that, maybe you should go read MIT. Who makes
How many volts are you using?
around
250,000
250,000. I just said that. So can you?
So why
answer-
can't you shield against electrostatics and see that things float?
Because the object still has mass and weight and density. So what holds the matter together?
So it's not just electrostatics.
There's a mass charge equivalence, and this is going to be way over your head, but there's a mass charge equivalence because everything has a fundamental physical constant of elementary charge. So mass and charge, there's an equivalence within that with energy density and electromagnetic vacuum. But what I want you to answer me is what holds the matter together?
Go ahead.
What is something of mass? The strong nuclear force holds things together, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a little sciencey for you, but there it is.
Van Zoom.
I was just saying
On Zoom.
the strong force, the weak force, electromagnetism, the fundamental forces of nature is what holds things together on the atomic level.
That's not what holds the matter together.
And keep it real, that's as far as my knowledge goes with it. So
clearly, yeah. So actually, there's something called the electroweak force. The weak force is intrinsically electromagnetic as well.
I was just naming a few. If there's more, enlighten me.
No,
please.
there's not more, and
Please.
you don't understand.
Or
Hey, buddy, what's mass? Is mass the amount of matter?
Yes.
Okay, so if we're going to talk about mass, we need to know what holds the matter together so we can have an amount of it, huh?
If we're so wrong, what is holding things together then?
Okay, they're called all
Gravity.
Wrong. All intermolecular molecular attractive forces are electrostatic in nature, and it's 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity's claim to be.
The strong and weak nuclear forces are what hold things together. They were just talking about it.
To be.
is strong and weak nuclear force electromagnetic?
You don't know what that is.
I don't. No, I don't. I'm not a physicist.
Exactly. So stop saying stuff you don't know.
Are
Can
you a
admit that what holds the matter together is electrostatic? Yes or no?
I don't have to understand the process on how it works.
Regurgitate a religion. I get it. Yeah, most people
Yes,
don't understand the
Sure,
religion.
I
You
accept
guys
it
have
based upon
so much-
testimonials of people that are
Hey
experts.
guys,
in the
Feel
field.
to authority.
Ah, fuck. Okay, this is kind of a shit show. I didn't want to see. I didn't want to see this kind of shit. unfortunately, with flat Earth discussions, it happens. You know what? Hold on. It's sensitive as fuck, but you can hear background noise. See how it works.
And that is how round one ends. Ozian admitted he didn't know what he was talking about, and then he made a last-ditch effort to appeal to authority before the...
Okay, that's the end of the video. And I guess I have to make a comment about Ozian right now. I'm glad he's getting what he deserves. Let's just say that. I'm not gonna comment. I'm not gonna go over the history, but yeah, I'm glad he's getting what he deserves. Interesting. Why things go down? Okay. Let's see.
Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Good Times for All, or Zachary Zabala if you prefer. In this video, we will be explaining how incoherent electrostatic acceleration creates the downward vector.
Wait, what?
Gravitation, a word which many do not comprehend, is a theory that was created to explain the paths of the luminaries above and what keeps them in orbit around other bodies, including our Earth. It has been known and taught in college-level physics courses that the electric forces that hold the Earth together are 26 times stronger than the gravitational forces that are supposedly here on Earth. I will now show you a short video of former MIT physics professor Walter Lewin explain this quite clearly.
So what holds our world together? Well, on the nuclear scale, 10 to the minus 12 centimeters, very important are the nuclear forces. On an atomic scale, up to thousands of kilometers, it's really electric forces that hold our world together. But on a much larger scale, planets and stars and the galaxy, it is gravity that holds our world together. And now you may say, that's very inconsistent with what you just told us, because didn't you tell us that D cancels if you compare gravity with electricity?
Yes, but keep in mind that most objects in the universe have only a very small amount of charge per unit mass. The Earth and Mars have each a charge of about 400,000 coulombs. The gravitational force between them is therefore about 17 orders of magnitude larger than the electric force.
So even though our immediate surroundings are dominated by electric forces, including your own body for that matter, the behavior of the universe on a large scale is dictated by gravity.
As you heard the professor state, gravity does not take place until we start talking about a moon orbiting a planet, the planet orbiting a sun, or stars orbiting the center of their galaxies. I fully agree that this is a theoretical concept that is unproven still today, and find it odd that they need ideas such as dark matter to make up over 90% of their model to explain how it is possible. Having said this, I completely understand people's reluctancy to use gravity in any kind of discussion about the place we live. At the same time, most people who have never been educated on the subject correctly believe that the force holding things in orbit and the force making things fall are one and the same, in which lies the problem. It is hard to explain how this place works when most do not know how the laws of electricity control the world around us. I will try in this video to explain how incoherent electrostatic acceleration works while using examples that can be recreated by anyone. To start out, we will take a look at Earth's electrostatic field.
This guy's annoying. Oh man. This guy's voice. He gets close to the mic. If I talk normal volume, I would probably blow your ears out. Like this. Yes. He does ASMR stuff. No. That's how his voice sounds, kind of. Oh my god. God, I don't want to do this anymore. I've gotten a couple of good views, but I've gotten a lot of good views, but fuck. Let's see if I can see another one. The full moment, okay. Wow, okay. Okay. Fuck it. Let's see if it proves that the full moment exists.
I love Mark Sargent. He is not crude or vulgar, he is super friendly and really positive, and according to Rob Skiba, Mark Sargent was the guy who recruited him into Flat Earth. So gotta love him for that. Anyway, recently he was interviewed on Odyssey Radio. The whole interview was about an hour and a half.
Oops. Start over again.
I love Mark Sargent. He is not crude or vulgar, he is super friendly and really positive, and according to Rob Skiba, Mark Sargent was the guy who recruited him into Flat Earth. So gotta love him for that. Anyway, recently he was interviewed on Odyssey Radio. The whole interview was about an hour and a half, and in it he said something that was so good I had to share it. Also, his radio interview didn't have any visuals, so I thought, I've got to add some visuals to this. So, here you go. Enjoy.
Let's say, for example, the second floor of where you live right now, you turned into a little vacuum chamber, right? You know, like 20 feet by 30 feet or whatever, right? And you put a valve above your head and a lever, and you pull that lever. What happens? It's not like the movies. It is instant. It is violent. The air will absolutely equalize in a fraction of a second. You know, any deep sea diver will tell you this. Anybody that works on oil rigs, any submarine people, they will all tell you this. It is extremely violent. Pressure next to non-pressure, even though you can't see it. You know, like right now, what we're breathing in right now is not nothing. It's 80% nitrogen and 20% oxygen, right? So what happens when you pull that valve above your head? It just fires up instantly. And in fact, you'll probably black out. You might even die.
And so right when it gets to full vacuum, this mylar will rupture, and so it will be a catastrophic sudden failure, which will simulate what would happen if you were in space and suddenly the wall behind you got blown out. Whoa!
So when you go outside, why is our atmosphere still here? You know what I mean? Meaning our atmosphere sits right next to the vacuum of space, the purest vacuum of space. I've talked to vacuum chamber experts. You know, and when you have a pure vacuum, it's like orders of magnitude even stronger.
It's not. It's not a pure vacuum. Space is not a vacuum. It's low pressure. That's it.
Hunger. So your first and only knee-jerk response to that will be gravity. It is, well, gravity. Oh, gravity is obviously holding the air down. I go, you mean the same gravity that couldn't keep the air in your living room from rushing upstairs? That gravity? The exact same gravity? And then people kind of get stuck because they know, you know, science says, well, it has to be gravity, otherwise we'd be dead. And I go, that's not how the logic works. What is the barrier? And they say gravity. And I go, gravity is not a barrier. Tell me what happens when you get to the bleeding edge of space, where our atmosphere ends and space begins. Tell me what happens. No science can tell me. They're just stuck. And they just say, well, it's got to be gravity. And that's the end of the discussion.
The pressure gets lower and lower. That's what it is. Gradient. Not sure what you're asking, actually.
It's like, and it's because it's the only option for them. I go, other than being a pressurized system, you know, that we're living inside a dome, we're living inside a snow globe that's holding the air in. I mean, there's a reason why they call it air pressure. Oh, and while we're at it, there's a reason why they call it greenhouse gases. Doesn't it make more sense if it's an actual physical greenhouse? I never understood that even before I was into flat Earth. You know, when fluorocarbons, when we were talking about the ozone layer, we're banning styrofoam things at McDonald's, and we're banning underarm aerosol deodorants because
Cans
like,
of
oh no, the
hairspray.
fluorocarbons get up to the atmosphere, they just stay there. Yeah. And as I'm getting older, I'm going, how do they stay there? So anyway, that's my big cling to. But most people, it takes them a while because again, a vacuum is invisible. You know, you could be sitting in a vacuum chamber right now and visibly, because of our spectrum of what we can see and what we can't see, no one would know.
So that's a very convincing argument. That's very interesting because you would think if gravity is, and I'm not a scientist, I'm a science nerd wannabe.
Sure.
But it seems like, so the gravity would have to be more powerful than the vacuum that exists within space to suck in or hold in this system so that so that space didn't just rip us apart, right?
Right. And there's no examples of that. I mean, and you can defy gravity all day long. When you like take a straw into a drink, right? Whatever it is, iced tea, soda, it doesn't matter. Like you are going against gravity. You are creating a small vacuum force and to drink that liquid, right? It's easy. A vacuum force will beat gravity every day of the week. But that's not what we see when we watch television and movies. It's always the same thing, right? There's a hole in the side of the spaceship, right? It's like, oh Lord, we're decompressing. We only got 2 minutes of air left, right? Get the duct tape, you know, and it's this race against the clock. It's like, no, it's instant. I mean, it's a fraction of a second. And if you ever see that in a space movie, which is why I know it kind of dates me, the James Cameron movie Aliens from years ago, right? The end where Ripley opens up that door to space. Right, everything's getting sucked out. She's fighting, climbing the ladder. No. She's dead. The little girl's dead. The alien's dead. The Marines are dead. Everybody's dead. Movie's over. Roll the credits.
We can only have a pressurized atmosphere so long as there is a container. The existence of our atmosphere proves there is a firmament above our heads. Thanks for watching, everyone. Love you, Mark. If you'd like to see his interview in full, here's a link to that.
What? That's it? Time.
The James Cameron movie Aliens from years ago, right? The end where...
Oh, never mind. I guess I'm done. Fuck. I'll see you next time. Bye.